going to conclude the Torah portion this week is going to conclude the third book of Vayikra, which is 3 out of 5 of the 5 books of Moses. Chamisha Chumshei Torah. So we have Parshas Behar, which is on chapter 25, verse 1, is where the Parsha begins, and then we are entering to a second Parsha called Bechukotai. Those who have this Chumash, the Torah portion is going to begin on page 762, is the first portion, and then we're going to have a second portion, which is called Bechukotai, that is going to be on page 776. Sometimes, because there's not enough weekends, since some holidays occur during the weekend, and on the holiday, when it occurs on Shabbat, we don't read the Torah portion. We read a holiday-related message. So therefore, sometimes our sages had combined 2 portions together. And this is actually what we are having in this week, is the portion of Behar and Bechukotai are joined together. So there's a lot that's being discussed in both of these portions. And as we always do, we're going to try to concentrate just on one and only subject. But just in short, the first Parsha of Behar introduces a concept called the sabbatical, to take a sabbatical year. The sabbatical year is known as the Shemitah in the world of agriculture. In Israel, the 7th year, the land is put to rest, meaning we are giving the land an opportunity to rest. And then every 7 cycles of Shemitah, we have what we call the Jubilee year, which is again a very more intense level of freedom. Every slave gets freed from his masters. Real estate goes back to their original owner. A lot of very interesting laws, which applies to the Jubilee year. And the Torah will continue with laws regarding giving loans to people, not against taking interest. Talks about Jewish slaves owned by Jews, how we should treat them. Jewish slaves owned by non-Jews, our responsibility to assist those Jews to be able to get free from that position. But then we're getting into Bechukotai. Bechukotai is what we're going to discuss a little bit. Bechukotai begins with literally blessings for observing Torah laws and the consequences of not following the Torah laws. And obviously, instead I'm going to explain you why obviously, there is more consequences than blessings. On page 776 is where the list of blessings begins. As you see, the first opening line is Im bechukotai telechu v'etz mitzvotai tishmoru v'asisem oisam. Tishmeru v'asisem oisam. If you pursue to study my laws in order to guard my commandments and observe them, then starts a list. First thing, I will give you rain at a convenient time. Late at night, when you're anyway asleep, that's a good time for rain. Middle of the day, let us enjoy, walking the parks. According to our sages, Friday night is a good time for sleep. Anyway, not walking around traveling. Take a look at verse 6, another very important, appropriate, timely, desired blessing. Venatati shalom ba'aretz ushchaftem ben macharit. I will grant peace in the land, and you will go to sleep with nothing frightening you. I just got a picture a half hour ago. My daughter and her 4 or 5 kids traveled to Israel on Monday. Went to her husband's family in Kfar Chabad. So a half hour ago, I'm getting a picture for my daughter, 3 o'clock in the morning, in the shelter. The kids finally fell asleep, schlepping all 5 of them to a shelter. The Houthis decided to give them a little tickle. No.
I remember Desert Storm. We were in Israel then.
Okay. So this is what it said. You're going to go sleep, ushkaftem ve'en macharim. You're going to be able to sleep through the night without being afraid of anything, not running to shelters. Beishbati chay ra min haaretz. I will eliminate wild animals from the land. Wild animals can mean animals from the zoo. Wild animals can mean Hamas, Houthis, Hezbollah, Inshallah, whatever it is. V'cherev lo ta'avor be'arsechem. No sword will cross through your land. Amazing blessings. And then it turned to the next page. After all the blessings, verse 14. Ve'im lo tishme'u li. But if you do not listen to me, ve'lo ta'asu, then you're not going to follow. And if you are going to forsake my commandments, and then it starts. Verse 16. Starts and continues. You're going to be running away from your enemies. Dry land, no rain, sword, all kinds of crazy, very strong, powerful words, which we call tochacha in Hebrew, which means admonishment. This is the story of the Parsha. If you follow the verses clearly, slowly, you're going to realize that many of them already took place at some times in our short Jewish history of 3,000 years. Some of them looks like it's taking place right now. Who knows? We are not prophets. We don't know. One thing we know, that there is blessings and there is consequences, known as the curses, and there is blessings for following and the opposite and the consequences for not following. Okay? But I want to take it to a different direction. I think we have enough, as they say, tzuras. We have enough sorrow in the world. Let's try to talk a little bit more positive. So we all know, we spoke about it in the previous year, that even that which appears in the Torah as curses and harsh admonishment cannot be just bad. It's impossible. Why? Because we have a saying, which is brought down by our sages. En ra yored milamala. There is no bad that comes from above. No bad comes from above, but it's pretty bad. I'm reading the verses, they look really bad. So what do you mean no bad comes from above? I guess part of it goes into the interpretation. How do you interpret it? So there's actually a story in the Talmud. The Talmud in Bechukotai said a story about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the one who we celebrated his anniversary passing last week. With his son, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Gemara in Bechukotai says, there were 2 great sages who came to visit the town where the holy Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai lived. And the Gemara even tells us the name of those great sages. Okay? So when they came to visit, so Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai tells his son, you know what? We have great, wonderful people who came to visit town. Maybe you should go and ask them for a blessing. Every child needs a blessing. Every person needs a blessing. You have 2 great rabbis. So maybe you should go ask him for a blessing. The name of the rabbis is actually mentioned. One is Rabbi Yonatan ben Asmei, and one was Rabbi Yehuda ben Geri. And they are visiting Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. This is names of the greatest of the rabbis of our holy town. So he sent them. First, they were busy learning. And then they realized that there's somebody standing there, and it's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's son. Says the Gemara, they said to him, "What are you doing here?" So he responded, "My father told me, go to those rabbis and ask them for a bracha, ask them for a blessing." So they said to him the following, Yehi Ratzon, may it be the will of God, that you sow and not reap, that you take in and not bring out. Let your house be destroyed, and let you in be inhabited. Let your table be disturbed, and may you not see a new year. Okay, so the Gemara continues. The son of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai is going back to his father. The father said, "No, how was the blessing?" So he tells them, it wasn't enough that they did not bless me, but they actually cursed me, and they caused me a lot of pain. So Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says, "What did they say to you?" So he repeats to his father exactly the words that we just read. Says his father, "Anach kulu birchot aninu." This is all expressions of blessings. And let me explain you. Number one, when they said, "May it be God's will that you sow and not cut," they meant that you will bring children and they shall not die. When they said that you take in and not bring out, they meant that you will take in daughter-in-laws and your sons shall not die, so that the daughter-in-laws, meaning their wives, will not go away. When they said, bring out and not take in, they meant that you will have daughters who will marry and their husband will not die and not having to cost to return to you. You bring out and not take in. When they said, let your house be destroyed and let you in be inhabited, so he explains them the whole idea that this world is compared to a temporary inn. The next world is compared to a permanent home, and he brings verses why it is. And basically the idea was that your permanent home should be your full shelter. In the temporary house, and don't get too excited about it. When they said, let your table be disturbed, you know what it means? That your table should be disturbed by the activities of your sons and daughters and children and grandchildren. And when they said, and may you not see New Year, that means they meant to say that your wife shall not die. Okay? And you will therefore not have to marry another wife. A story in the Talmud. What is the story telling you? Someone comes over to you. He offers you a statement or more, which seems to be what? Word of curse. And you get very nervous. And then you have to meet a sage like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and he looks at it and he laughs. These rabbis would curse you. You didn't hear what they said. What does it mean you didn't hear what they said? You only looked superficially. You saw the external words, how they express what they express. Let me help you unveil it. Let me help you uncover it. And you're going to see that what they meant to say is real strong blessings. Why did they have to say it in such a manner? Maybe we'll discuss later. But clearly, the message over here is a message which is discussed in many sources by commentaries, including in Hasidic philosophy. The Alter Rebbe explains that all the curses that we read here, the fact that it's coming from God, is really very, very lofty blessings. And their blessings are so strong that what we can see here in our eyes and ears is curses, because they're much higher than our grasp. We cannot relate to them. So from us, it is hidden. But those who have the ability to see, they have the right glasses, will realize that even those words are actually tremendous words of blessings. The Alter Rebbe actually in his book on the Parsha gives us a few examples. He says there is one of the curses is that 10 women will bake their bread in one oven. And it translates the 10 women refers to the 10 qualities of the soul. And bake is referring to prayer, which is something which is being baked and warmed up. And all the 10 qualities of the soul together will join in creating a very warm, uplifting prayer. I mean, everything is being explained in many different ways. So I want to take this idea and speak about it a little bit of sometimes things look bad and they appear to be very negative. And at the same time, we have the opportunity to look at them and consider that they might actually be very good. Statement of the Talmud, okay? The Talmud tells us in the Tractate of Brachot, which talks about different blessings you make for certain occasions, for different things, different items. But the Talmud says, what happens when you have good news? Something very good happened to you. You should make the following blessing. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam hatov ve'ametiv. Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who is good, and he causes good things to happen. Because things are good. What happens if, God forbid, something bad happens? For example, a relative dies. You also have to acknowledge God. And how do you say? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who is the judge of truth. Which means you acknowledge that you accept whatever God does, he does it truthfully, he knows the best. So it's two separate blessings. Says the Gemara, just like a person has to make a blessing and thank God for good things which happens to him, so too he has to make a blessing and thank God for the bad things which happens to him. The Gemara says, what do you mean just like? It's not like, because for good things we say, Atov ve'ametiv. For bad things we say, Dayana emet. So what do you mean just like? It's not just like, it's two separate texts. It's two different blessings. And so the Gemara, what it means to say just like is meaning to tell you that with the same enthusiasm and with the same hearty good feelings that you acknowledge God for the good thing which happens to you, so too should you do it when bad things happen to you. That's what it means, just like. The text is obviously different, but the attitude is the same. And the question is, how can the attitude be the same? This is good and this is bad. And when it's good, it's good. And when it's not good, it's not good. Can I be joyful? Can I be so-called accepting with love when God seemingly conducts himself to me in a negative manner, something which hurts me, I'm in pain. Can I be happy simultaneously with the pain? Say oi, and then the same thing, ah. It's either a oi or a ah. Oi is when it hurts. Ah is when it's good. So what does it mean, just like? This is the question, which is a very big discussion, and everybody wants to understand how does it work. In the holy book called the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe of Shneur Zalman of Leadi offers three different approaches, three different directions in regard to that subject. What does it mean to look on bad things as if it's good? One is that in Tanya, chapter 26. One is a letter in the end of Tanya, letter 22. And one is the letter 11. And I want to give a little summary of these three different perspectives given by the Alter Rebbe. Perspective number one is, like we said before, the good is there, but it is hidden. And it's such a great good that it can be revealed to yourself as good, and therefore it looks to you and it appears to you as pain. What is the basis? Like I said before, En ra yored milamala. There is no bad which comes from above. God is essentially good. What? To do good, to provide good. And this is his essence, bad to come from that which rejects only good. You see if something does look bad, gamzula tova. So you have to know that this is also good. It's only that it's a type of good that you cannot grasp the goodness of it. But if it's good, why can't it appear to be good? The answer is Shneur Zalman goes with the Kabbalistic approach that there is two worlds, meaning there are two relationships that God has with every person and with the worlds. There is a relationship which is called Alma de Itkasia, the world which is covered and hidden. And then there is the second world called Alma de Itgalia, the world which is revealed and open. The godly light, which is hidden, is a light and an energy of God which transcends world and creation. You cannot grasp it. It's too high. It's too lofty. That's why it's called what? Itkasia. Then there is the limited light, God's energy, which energizes the world and becomes part of creation. That is something that you can relate to. You are alive. You feel it. It's a part of your existence. This is called what? Alma de Idgalia. Idgalia comes from the word begalui. But it's not only different, the same light, but whether it's hidden or it's not hidden. It's different levels of energy. The greater light is not revealed. The lower light is what you can relate to and you can tap into. In the words of the Kabbalah, God has this four letters name, Yud K and Vav K. The hidden world represents the power of God, the way is represented in the letters Yud and Hey. The lower world, the revealed energy of God, is Vav and Hey. So this is the Yud Hey, and this is the Vav Hey. Yeah, Yud and Hey versus Vav and Hey is two different realities. When a person is suffering, there is a verse, Tehillim chapter 94. What does it say? Happy is the person Asher teyasrenu, which is being inflicted by by ka, Yud and Hey. Doesn't say Asher teyasrenu Hashem, Yud Ke Vav Ke. It only says Asher teyasrenu, Yud and Hey. Because when a person gets pain, he is happy to the fact that, I have a very interesting relationship with God. Those who are not in pain, those who life is good for them, your relationship is Vavke. You are the lower level of consciousness of God. I'm a Mechutin, who am I related with? Say Yashrenu Ko. God had chosen me to relate to me from that or called Iskasia, the covered light. What's the proof? The proof is that I don't see it's good. Oh, you don't see it's good? Very good. That means it's the real good. That means it comes from a world of Yudke, that you can't even grasp it, you can't relate to it, that it's good. But here comes the challenge. For a person to relate to it and to be happy with that, it's only the person who happiness for him means to be in a relationship with God. So therefore, he says, instead of getting the lower level, I'm getting the higher level. So, Spain is good. Getting to a sauna and someone gives you a good knack, in the sauna, and you say, what are you saying? He's hurting you. Hurting me. That's the best thing I can get. It makes me feel better. That is a person who looks for if you're looking for yourself, you're looking to enjoy your physical life, then you're getting upset. Why is God talking to me in that language? I don't want it. I want to have the good life, the good feeling of life, the happy feeling of life. Why is he talking to me in a language which I can't understand and doesn't make any sense? But if you are a person who is looking for a relationship with God, at that point you say, why do I need that? This is much better. He talks to me to a language which I don't understand. It means that he is relating to me that Yudke, Ashrei HaGever, Yashrenu Kai, is giving me the higher level, is giving me Amedi Iskasia. Alter Rebbe says in Tanya the words, Ki Simcha is the joy of a person who is in pain, because his love to be close to God is for him more dear and more important than anything in this world, anything physical. And am I going to be able to see it's God? Says the Alter Rebbe, but that you have to be patient. If you will relate to it in such a manner, in the future times, when we say the Mashiach comes, you're going to see and you're going to experience what you had originally considered as suffering. You're going to see, this is this projector of light which was shining on me. But you're only going to be able to experience that if you are relating to it now as a statement of love. This is the way the Alter Rebbe puts it in chapter 26 in Tanya. You can look it up. Obviously, we can go on and on. I want to go to approach number 2. Approach number 2, why are people suffering? And how can you accept it with love? Is in a letter that Alter Rebbe is printed in the end of Tanya, letter 22. And he says simply, you look at pain as a scrubbing tool. You're going through a cleansing process, which is also brought out in the books of Musar. The Rishonim already talk about it. Like the verse actually says, Shlomo HaMelech, the King Solomon writes in the book of Proverbs, Ki et asher yehav Hashem yochiach. Who does God admonish? Only the one who is loved. He doesn't love you. Why should he try to make you clean? In other words, when you get a little knack, get a little scrub, you know that somebody cares about you. He wants your return. He wants your repentance. So you have to be satisfied and happy that you were from the chosen ones, that they want to give him the opportunity to come home. This is an expression of love. And he talks about, in a very beautiful description, comparing it to a king, a real serious, lofty king, who has an only son, who is very dirty. And the lofty king takes his son, little baby, and puts him in a hot bath with detergent, with soap, scrubs him. You ever saw a father scrubbing the baby or a mother scrubbing the baby in the bath? What does the baby do? What are you screaming? Am I hurting you? To the baby. And if somebody doesn't understand mother, baby, father, baby relationship, thinks, oh, somebody's getting abused there. They're pouring out water on them. I saw the father going with a scrub. Not a scrub. It's called cleaning him, bathing him, washing up the dirt, made a bad poop, we gotta clean it up. A little baby, if you're gonna let her be in her own schmutz, God forbid, get sick. You gotta take care of, put it in warm water. The baby is uncomfortable, but at the same time, as the verse actually describes it in the books of Isaiah, chapter 4, verse 4, talks about exactly those words. Imrachatz Hashem et tzoad bnot Zion. Talks about God washing up the filth of his children of Zion. In other words, you look on the pain that you are actually getting the opportunity to get clean. Washing is an expression of love. What is other from others? They have, because candy is obviously sweet and normal, and the child says thank you and excited and kisses you and hugs you. But when you give them a scrub and the baby doesn't even respond with a thank you because they feel that you are bothering them, and the parent has to release some stronger inner strength to do it anyway because they really, really, really care for you, really love you. So when it appears to you as pain, it's really love. Says the Alter Rebbe that the same thing is when we talk about somebody who is never going through pain, and everybody knows that he needs a little fixing, and he's not always so so great in his relationship with God. So you look at it and you say, oh, thank you. You're washing me up. You care for me. You want me to return to you a little cleaner. You want me to think about, that I have to improve. And that's why you're doing it to me. Because if you have to remember, by cleaning a little down in this world, it takes away a lot of the cleanup which is going to be needed in the world to come. Sometimes you think about it, you owe someone $1 million, and the person is ready to take from you $1 and another dollar, little bits of money here and there. Doesn't bother you at all. Just takes a little. And every time you give them something, it takes off chunks of the debt. Amazing. The mortgage. It keeps on getting removed and freed. You think suffering in this world is considered suffering? God forbid, but our sages talk about the suffering in the world to come. So the soul, spiritual suffering is much worse. And we can understand it even in our world. When is a person getting more hurt? When they got a little smack, or if somebody embarrassed them? Why? The smack hurts. Embarrassment just words. The answer is because embarrassment is something which impacts you mentally, spiritually. And a smack is something which only influences you physically. And obviously, emotionally and mentally is more closer and deeper to a person than being physically attacked. So you'd rather be getting a smack than being embarrassed. Sometimes the smack becomes the embarrassment. That's a story.
It's shorter too. The mental pain.
Very good, very good. So imagine talking about neshama versus body. Your body is going to get punished in this world, and reducing the punishment of the soul in the world to come. So obviously you would be happy to take the physical consequence than waiting for the spiritual. So this is the second approach, why we can look on pain with a positive attitude. In other words, the first approach is that really it is good. You have to really be on a level to understand that there is something called Iskasia and Yutke versus Galia and Vavke. Take some learning in Kabbalah and to be involved in also to consider a relationship with God as the most important thing. So somebody like this can say, I'm fine. The famous Hasidic story, there was one of the students of the Maggid of Mezrich, is from the founders of the Hasidic movement, asked his Rebbe, he said, really, I need someone to teach me, is it possible to take and to accept pain with joy? He sent them to a town called Anipoli. And there was a Yid and a rabbi, one of the students of the Maggid actually, called Reb Zusha. He said, go to Reb Zusha, he's going to teach you. Coming to Reb Zusha, and Reb Zusha says, what are you doing here? Where can I help you? He says, the Rebbe told me to ask you to teach me how to accept pain in the joy. And Reb Zusha was a man with a lot of illnesses, and he did not have a penny to his soul. He lived in terrible poverty. And Reb Zusha looks at him, the rabbi sent you to me? I never experienced pain. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what pain is. I live a very good life. He probably meant somebody else. What does it mean he never experienced pain? Obviously, he wasn't an idiot. When it hurts, it hurts. But together with the physical scratches that you feel, for him, God is showing me from the light. I'm a relationship of Yutke, that's what takes place. So this is the first approach. The first approach, the disadvantage is that while you live, it hurts. You're in pain. But as the Alter Rebbe said, in the future, you're going to see that it was all really coming from a very high level. The second approach, you can see the good already now, because this is a clinic bath. This is a hot bath. Why not? It's easier on the nerves. Then comes the Alter Rebbe in a letter, a very famous letter. This is letter Yud Aleph, section 11 in Tanya. And here comes with a whole radical approach to this whole idea of pain. He says, you know what pain is? God puts you in a challenge. He wants to see how you react. Pain really is in your head. What does it mean? He writes a letter to somebody who complained, life is not good. But the Alter Rebbe says, first I want to talk to you. What does it mean life is not good? How can life not be good? And he goes and he gives them a whole philosophical approach. How does the world exist? How does the world exist? Because God makes it exist. The world was created in the Jewish approach, in our Jewish belief, something out of nothing, which needs a continuous source of energy to revive it and to make it alive. So you have to, this very moment that I'm in existence. Why am I in existence? Because God said, I want you to exist in the energized. So the moment of pain is not a separate moment from godliness, because this is the moment that God rejuvenates you. And this is also him. And he, like we said before, no bad comes from him. So what is it? That's how he starts. I want to introduce you with some wisdom and understanding, he tells to this recipient of this letter, but it's printed in Tanya. And he says to him that the pain you feel is because you have an interest in living a physical life. If your interest would be, like you said before, also in chapter 26, to be in a relationship with God, you wouldn't feel any pain. But secondary to your spiritual relationship with God, how do you do it? After all, I'm lacking, I'm missing. So he says that first of all, you have to believe in Hashem. Hashem creates the world, everything which I told you till now. And he says that if you are going to activate that belief, you're going to realize that this is just a test. I wasn't missing any. But you were missing. It says you were missing because you didn't realize it's coming from God. Now you're going to look at it and say, I wasn't missing. I didn't need it. I'm with him. I didn't need it. It was just a test to see how am I relating my emunah, my belief in Hashem. Okay. There's a story told, actually a real story. The Mental Fruit has said the story. Our Rebbe, was born in Nikolaev. His grandfather, Meir Shlomo, Rebbe Tzimchana's father, was the rabbi of Nikolaev, the Meir Shlomo Yanot. And he got sick with typhus. Typhus in Russia those days was a very bad situation. Why? You were put into quarantine and you could have stayed there as long as you stayed there. Many people ended up dying there. They never made it out. No one was allowed to come over to you. You couldn't meet anybody. You were in complete isolation. After you used to go by, give you some something. And Meir Shlomo, being the rabbi of Nikolaev, did not get no discount. He got typhus and he was sent to that isolated, fortified area outside of the town. He had a friend who was the shoch, came every day, and he wanted to see the Meir Shlomo, but they did not let him in. But he figured out where is he positioned, next to which window. So he stood there by that window every day and he read out loud, not knowing if he hears them or doesn't hear them, but he read out loud that letter 11, Tanya, which does the letter says that there is no bad coming, it's all a test. And if you're going to keep on with your belief that God is testing you, you're going to see that it's all good. Every day, not knowing even if he hears it. Eventually, the Meir Shlomo was miraculously sent out of the quarantine. He went back home, and there was a big party in town. The rabbi came home, and he told Rabbi Usher, the shofar, you should know you kept me alive. Being there and hearing your readings from the, and really it's all a test that to see how you emunah, how you believe it in Hashem, that kept me alive. That's what he said. So this is another approach. The first approach is that that is really hidden love, hidden godliness, but we're going to have to wait and be patiently to see if the Mashiach comes. The second approach, it's all good because you're getting a little scrub, a big scrub, tshuva. And the third approach is just a test. Just realize that in the eyes of God, I'm fine. Are you missing? You also fine. The question is also, why is it that this light comes in that Why is it getting manifested in such a way of pain? So one of the explanations is that sometimes there is this idea, basically, that when somebody is being granted something which is not able to handle, so it does not, it's what you're being granted is not only not helping you, but it's actually confusing you. For example, you have a teacher learning with a student, and he's offering him a lofty idea which is completely unreceived by the student. He doesn't get it. It's too high, concept, which is not, he's not ready, he's not a recipient for it. At that time, the student not only is not going to not understand what's going on here, it's actually going to confuse him, right? Even that which you have to still I might lose out of confusion. So basically, people, we are not recipients for that energy, maybe called niskafia. If we're going to get that light, so obviously it can cause us to get confused. We're going to look at that as bad. Sheikh is going to come, then we're going to be elevated to a higher level, then we're going to be able to relate to it as good. But now, that's how it comes. Nevertheless, and here comes the point. Sometimes you have a teacher. I can give you an example. I'm thinking, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, everything he spoke of, the hours and hours of Fabregan and Shabbos, you think I understood everything he said. You think anybody understood everything he said? Someone understood this, someone understood that. And even what you understood, you always knew there is so much more there. And sometimes it was really ideas which was completely over our head. And yet, no one ever wanted to miss the opportunity to be the Bath of Break. You can see in the videos, everybody's standing like this. Why? Why? You're not coming out with anything. It's like, what's the answer? It's not about me. It's not about what am I going to get. I love this person. I admire this personality. I would rather spend as much time possible around the same table as much as they can, because he's a holy man. Especially, you think about it, he's not confused about what he says. We are confused, not able to appreciate what he says. But in his mind, it's all clear. So the only problem is that I don't get it. So that's why I should miss the opportunity to sit with them, because I don't get it.
You may not get it now, you may get it in 10 years.
Very good. So that exactly is the word. The person who is able to be joyful with Yisurim, the person who is able to be joyful with pain, is the person who looks at it as an opportunity. The teacher is confusing me, maybe, but for me, it's not only what I receive from the teacher. I want to be with it. It's the closeness, and the my closeness with them. Obviously, like I said before, this approach, that approach, this has to be all meditated and discussed and more, but we've got to talk about it. What do I want to come back to? So somebody might walk away from the table and said, 1 second, so if suffering is so good, why am I asking for from God life to be good? Matter of fact, even in the night Shema, we say, forgive us, atone us, but not with pain. What's wrong with pain? Yutke, Skasye, come on, give it to me. Why are we looking to be released of pain? Let us enjoy it. So you go back to the beginning of the Parsha. Before the curses, what does God say? You're going to keep my laws, and what's going to happen? You're going to get rain, good rain, healthy rain. Fields are going to grow, nice grass. You can wonder, is this all about? That's what I have to keep the laws, that I should have good steak? Does God look at us like little kids that the candy is going to work and only good food and nice rain is going to talk to us? I thought there are some intelligent Jews also that they might be convinced to follow the commandments because they're going to get the world to come, spiritual pleasure. Why is the Torah talking about the rain and physical, candies and steaks and cows and chickens? No, made it to Rabbi Farkash that talks. But there are a lot of intelligent people, men and women here. Maybe inspired will get excited in mitzvahs. What does my Maimonides say? My Maimonides says the Torah is not telling you as the ultimate reward is the fact that you're going to get rain. Rain and good, healthy life is a tool that you will have more opportunities to do more good deeds. And by that, you're going to merit the real share in the world to come. In other words, you can look at a healthy body and say, this is my reward. God kept me healthy. Or you can look at your healthy body and say, thank you, God. I'm healthy. I can do more for you. I can pray. I can study. I can do good deeds. I can help people because I can run around. I'm not lying in bed like a cranky man, like a sick person. So if you ask yourself, ultimately, what is the goal? The goal is to do what God wants from us to do. And to do what God wants from us to do, can we do it when we are in pain, or we can do it better when we are healthy without pain? What's the answer? When you are healthy. So therefore, obviously, when we turn to God, what do we tell him? Be close with us, keep us healthy. But ultimately, with good health, you can do more mitzvahs, you can learn more, you can be with God more. But after the fact, somebody for some reason goes through some situations in life, it's important to learn how to approach the situation. God forbid not to give up hope, to look at it in a positive manner. Found out what it says in chapter 26, Daniel. For someone, it might work, letter number 22. For someone, it might work, letter number 21, like the Rabbi of Nikolaev. Everybody in his direction. But to realize, like we said in the beginning of the class, that even the admonishment as hidden brachot, even the curses that the Rabbi Yochai's son heard was real brachot because he couldn't hear the real thing. He only heard words. You got to unveil it. And this is what we walk away from this big Parsha. It's a connection from the beginning of the Parsha and the second part of the Parsha. It begins with blessing because it is really the blessing to be healthy. That is the blessing. And this is what we are waiting for, and that's what we need. Everybody should be healthy and happy and live a good life. Why? Because as healthy you are, you can serve God better. At the same time, if God forbid there is a situation, you have to know how to approach it. You have to know what the direction to it. And ultimately, there's nothing bad coming from above. That's the bottom. Nothing bad coming from above. Can be bad. That's it for now.
Thank you.
A lot to digest, right?
Yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rabbi.
You have all night to digest it. Hope you sleep good. Don't sleep on a full stomach. Make sure you digest it before you go into it. Something to think about, Baruch Shalom.
Yes. Last.
Don't overthink it. Let me help you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. Thank you very much.